Okay, so I did Night by Elie Wiesel. He's written a lot of books, mostly about um, the Holocaust and the Nazis during that time. But this is actually a memoir about his life during his time in the concentration camps during World War II. So the main character is kind of a stand-in for himself. He doesn't use his real name. He uses a character's name called Elie. He's the main character, as is his memoir, and he is a narrator. But I think the most interesting character is Moshe the Beetle, because he has so many ups and downs in the book. The things that he teaches Elie at the beginning of the book stick with our main character, but Moshe loses his mind and he loses those values later on. But we can still see them as themes in the book, so I think Moshe is kind of really interesting because of that. The two short passages that I read that I liked were Never shall I forget that night, the first night in camp, which has turned my life into one long night, 7 times cursed and 7 times sealed. Never shall I forget that smoke. Never shall I forget the little faces of children whose bodies I saw turned into wreaths of smoke beneath the silent blue sky. Never shall I forget those flames which consumed my faith forever. Never shall I forget that nocturnal silence which deprives me for all eternity of the desire to live. Never shall I forget those moments which murdered my God and my soul and turned my dreams to dust. Never shall I forget these things, even if I am condemned to live as long as God himself. Never. Now, that kind of sounds sort of dark, but I think that it's one of the most famous quotes of the book, and it also introduces the main theme of the book, which is Elizier's loss of faith, and then finding faith again at the end. The second quote that I picked was, "One day I was able to get up after gathering all of my strength. I wanted to see myself in the mirror, hanging on the opposite wall. I had not seen myself since the ghetto. From the depths of the mirror, a corpse gazed back at me. The look in his eyes, as they stared into mine, has never left me." So these were the last lines in the book, and I think that they say a lot about Elizier's as a character after all the things that he's been through, and it shows his personal suffering. And I think it kind of makes all of the things that happened during World War II a little bit more real, because as we're reading about them, we kind of are detached from them, and seeing Elizier's struggles really makes the things that happened almost just totally real for us and our students. So overall impression, I thought this book was completely fantastic, especially if you enjoy history or learning about World War II, which I do, so I absolutely love this book. I read it in 8th grade, and I immediately, after we finished, I went home and asked my mom to buy it for me. I feel like it has a lot of depth that we don't get from some of these kinds of books, and it can really relate to a lot of people, especially students who are the same age as our main character. So I think the people who'd be most interested, like late middle school and early high school students, would definitely enjoy this book a lot. They can relate to Elizier and kind of the struggles that he's going through, and they can connect with him as a character. And one of the most important lessons that we can learn from the story is that it teaches us to persevere through hard times, because eventually they do end, and even though they don't seem like they will, we are allowed to recognize that things are bad and have times when we feel like things are hopeless, but we have to believe that things will get better. And I think that says a lot about my faith integration, as well as what I can teach my students through this book, without being too quote-unquote religious about it. Is there anything else I would like you to know about this author/book? If you haven't read the book, definitely go read it. It's a fantastic read. I absolutely love this book.